Hi, I'm Jill Wignall. Today I am showing you a few basics of stitching. We are going to learn how to start off our thread, so how to thread the needle, how to split the thread, and we're also going to learn how to finish off on the back either by threading through the stitches or with a knot. So I'm going to show you those things and you will be ready to get started with any embroidery pattern or stitching that you want to try. Whenever you buy a skein of embroidery thread and you open it up, it will have two ends. They may not be both at the top like this, one might be down here and one might be up there, but you need to figure out which one to pull, and that's kind of tricky. Sometimes whichever one you pull, one will be the right one to pull and one will be the one that makes the whole thing screw up into a ball. So what I do is I just very carefully pull and see if that thread is going to gently come out, which it looks like it is, so I picked the right one. And let me just show you what happens when you pull the wrong one. As you can see, it's already all starting to screw up. So I would not pull that one and just neaten it back out, and then I would just pull the correct one. Then you're going to give yourself a length about maybe your shoulder to your wrist. Snip. And then our next job is to split the thread. Now, if your pattern says 6 strands of thread, then that's how many are in this piece, which has been taken from any skein of this kind of embroidery thread. Sometimes you can get pearl thread, which is this, or a tapestry wool or something like that, and they don't split, but these ones that look like this, they do split. And you can just see that they split by taking apart the top and having a look, and it splits into 6 threads. If you're splitting your thread and your pattern requires let's say 3 threads, and it will say on it 3 strands of embroidery thread. Now if we just pull like this after splitting it into 2 lots of 3, then it will all get in a muddle and tangled most likely. So what I do is I hold the other end, usually in my teeth, and then I pull it straight. Say this end is held in my teeth, I pull it straight, and then I use both hands to undo the thread. So what I'm going to do to demonstrate that is I'm going to just hold the end in this little pot. I'm just going to fasten it into this little pot and pretend that I'm holding it in my teeth, and then you will be able to see how it looks when that thread is pulled tight. So I've got hold of both ends and I'm just pulling like this, and it will, just move it to show you, it will go quite tight. And as you get nearer to the end, you'll just let it out of your teeth and continue pulling, and it should unravel fairly neatly. And then you've got 2 sets of 3. Now you just need to smooth that out again so that you're ready to now tie your knot in the end and put your needle in. Now, the way I do this is I just licked my finger and just ran the thread through both fingers to make the end. Just going to try and bring that really close to the camera. There we go. To make the end nice and neat, and so that it goes hopefully easily into the eye of the needle. So I hold the end of my thread really close to the tips of my fingers, and then I carefully, almost squeezing the end of the thread, I put the needle, the eye of the needle, over the threads. Now you can see that did not go in straight away. Only 2 of the 3 threads went in. So I'll try again. If it doesn't work or it isn't looking that neat, then I'll take my scissors and I'll just really carefully snip the end so that they're all straight. And now I will try again. This time they all went through, and so I used my nail to then grab them and pull them through. And so, let me just focus it. That is how you thread your needle. Now it's time to tie the knot at the end. I'm going to show you a little trick of how I tie the knot. Well, I'll show you a simple way first. You can just tie a knot. If you don't know how to tie a knot, you make a hoop. So you've taken the thread over the end of the thread, and then you push the end of the thread through the hoop, and then pull and try and get it quite close to the end of your thread using your fingers to help you. That's one way that you can tie the knot. I'm going to snip that off so that I can show you another way. Another way, which is quite quick when you get used to doing it, is I place the thread over the needle. I hold it in place with my thumb. I wrap it around, 1, 2, 3, and then I hold that wrapping around and pull it over the eye of the needle. It can't be too tight or I won't get it over the eye of the needle. And then I just pull the thread through. I've still got hold of that little wrap between my finger and thumb, and I keep going until the end, pull it tight, and then my knot is there on the end. So now your thread has been split, it's been put on your needle, and you've tied your knot ready to start stitching on your embroidery hoop. And that is how to start and finish thread. Now, if I was doing a little bit of stitching, let's say I have just finished this stitching and I go down to the back of my hoop. Now I need to finish off my stitching. There are two ways you can do this. You can either go through your stitches and then that leaves you with a flat back, you won't have a knot or something, and then you just snip your thread here. The other way to do it is to tie a knot, and the way I tie the knot at the back is I hold my thread fairly tight, not too tight, just hold it out the way. I put my needle on top of where the final stitch ends, and I wrap my thread around a few times. I then hold that wrap in place on top of where the knot is going to be, and I carefully pull the needle. Whoops. As you can see, I accidentally pulled too tight, so I need to put that wrap back down at the bottom of the thread near where the knot is going to be, and now I can hold it in place and pull. Let me just show you how to do that knot again. I hold the thread out of the way, I wrap it around my needle a few times, even twice is enough. I hold the wrap with my finger and I pull it through, and then after that I can snip. So either of those ways work. Some people would say that it's neater to put your thread through the stitches, and it means that when you are mounting your work and you're lacing it up and things ready to go in a frame, then you won't have any little bumps of knots showing through. See the way that could possibly show. So if you can do that, then that's a good way of doing it. Personally, I can be a little bit messy with my stitching, and so I just quickly tie a knot. And to be honest, whenever I mount my work in a frame or anything, I'm happy with how it looks and the knots don't show up. I think it's more if you're doing very fine, intricate work and you want it to look really perfect and precise, which definitely isn't my desired look. So that's how we finish off on the back, and you should now know the basics of how to get stitching and how to start your thread off and how to finish it off on the back as well. Happy stitching!